It is 9 a.m. Thursday, the 26th of September, AD 2024. And we're going to have a fun, loosey-goosey, The Hake Report show, everybody. Check it out. I do see your calls coming in. You can call in. We will have Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation coming in here. Coming on with Hake. Going to talk about Jamaicans. Are they black? Do they count as black? Oh, we're sending the link shortly here. You got a Zoom link for him? Nice. For Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation to come in here. Nice. We'll also talk about... Well, he's from the music world. He used to be in the rap world. So he may have something to say about the Diddy situation. You know that one guy, formerly known as Puff Daddy, also called Sean Combs. Anyway, and perhaps the Trump assassination and your calls, guys. If you'd like to call in, some of you guys already on hold. But anyway, everybody. Oh, let me turn on the beautiful feed of the sound. You're watching. You're looking at GMR, Glendora Mountain Road, beautiful Glendora Mountain Road, over there in Glendora, California. The better valley, in my opinion, San Gabriel Valley, better than the San Fernando Valley. Not as hot. Pretty hot, but not as hot, I don't think, for some odd reason. But anyway, guys, let's just get right on with the show!
1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report. La la la.
Oh Lord. So, how you guys doing? I am fine. I'm kind of a boomer sometimes, you know? Kind of a boomer. Anyway, okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you, American Anchor Baby. Which one would 13 be? Oh, I see it. Nice. Bass guitar. Sweet. How you guys doing? I am fine. I have...
Check.
Nice. Hey, I have with me a guest here. Coming on, guys. Nice. Hey, there he is. It's Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation. My friend. And
Hello,
your
my
friend.
friend Hake.
How you
are
doing,
sir?
man? So, Misfit Nation on YouTube. Crishaun the Don on X. Where else can people find you, man? He's been on the show many times.
Honestly, that's pretty much it.
Okay. Yeah, those are the
Yeah.
two. Those are the top two ones where I find you.
Yeah, I'm starting to strip away my social media use. It's really not healthy.
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I feel happier for it. By the way, I'm just kind of getting off of a cold, so if my energy's a little off, just please forgive me.
No worries. No worries. I understand. I appreciate you coming on. The people love you. Some of them love to hate. And but Crishaun the Don has been on before. He's a host, a podcast host of Misfit Nation, alongside a couple of other. You're Jamaican yourself, aren't you?
Well, I'm American. I'm American.
That's right.
My family is Jamaican.
Right. And then those other two guys, those other two black guys on your show, are kind of Jamaican, right?
Yes. They're both same thing.
Yeah, heritage-wise, anyway.
Funny enough, the one that Wonder, he's kind of has a similar mix as me. He's part Irish as well, but you see how genes work. He's like completely.
Yeah, he came out dark.
Yeah,
He came out
completely
like
colored.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Well, the people who've been on who've been watching my show many times are quite familiar with you, I think, and some have even started to call in and listen to your live shows and your podcast, which is cool. I wanted to get right into this stuff and possibly take calls as well, if we can, if people want to call in and talk with you. But I wanted to talk about the Jamaican experience and Jamaicans and blacks. I noticed that a lot of times blacks and Africans and Jamaicans and islanders, they kind of fall into that liberalism, let's team up against the whites, but they don't really get along with each other, both as Jamaicans, as Black Americans, as family members. But they pretend like they are one, but they're not. And I think people kind of know that.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a little bit of nuance to it that I'm sure a lot of people don't know, that there is sort of a divide ideologically in the Jamaican culture as well. And there is, like, for instance, my family didn't identify as black. My father never complained about racism. He never, complained that he didn't get a job because he was black. I didn't hear that ever in my life. But there is a group of black people or Jamaicans that consider themselves black. And there is, I guess, gene wise, there is a way of connecting that, because African, genes are in Jamaica, the whole history of the slaves being left there, that whole thing. So that does exist, but we're talking about black identity, you know what I mean? And really, if you know about Rastafarians, most of them actually consider themselves black. That's where that kind of commandeered the Jamaican culture, is with Rastafarian, the religion of that. A lot
Is
of
that
it
Bob
is based.
Marley?
Yes. Bob Marley is the one who made it popular, and basically Rastafarians are Pan Africans. That's Bob Marley is on record saying that specific thing. He's Pan African. So that's where it all kind of got injected into the Jamaican culture, as far as the black identity, was actually with Bob Marley and that whole movement.
So blacks or African, Pan-African is their religion, basically, even though they say love is their religion.
They believe it's the government that's gonna not control, but it's gonna control, but it's going to save the black race.
Oh, interesting.
That's their idea of it. And I believe that came from Marcus Garvey, and that whole thing. And Bob Marley was really inspired by Marcus Garvey.
Okay.
So yeah, more or less, that's kind of, you nailed it. That's where the black identity was popularized in Jamaican culture, was with Bob Marley's movement. Funny enough, reggae music got really popular in the UK at one point, before Bob Marley. And it was really popular with the skinheads in the UK.
Yeah.
This is
the racist
really
skinheads or the anti-racist skinheads, because there's sharps, right? Skinheads against racism and stuff.
Well, from what I know, it's a broad thing of just the skinhead culture got a hold of it, because reggae music before Bob Marley wasn't about black empowerment and about all that stuff. Here, I have a theory that I'll tell you in a second, but it was about more of blue collar working class kind of, stories that were being told through reggae. When the black empowerment thing kind of came along, that's when the UK skinheads kind of were like, I'm not into this. What is this?
Right.
So I think there's a level to it of were they racist? Because they didn't like black empowerment music, or was it just something that didn't resonate with them? And at points I understand where the black empowerment thing gets a little too arrogant and it gets like it's unlikable. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I understand why people were put off by that and why it didn't, it got dropped by the skinheads as their kind of theme music. So
did it get mixed? Is that what got mixed with this the punk at the time? Was punk what embraced the reggae stuff?
Well, there is elements of punk in reggae. Reggae
Okay.
kind of embraced ska, punk.
Right.
There's like and the skinheads were really into punk. I think that's when they eventually moved over to punk and metal and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
But they completely dropped reggae because it became a completely
became black.
political thing. Yeah, and
Right.
it wasn't
Black politics. Political black.
and it was it was liberal politics, and it wasn't connecting with working class people, blue collar people.
Yeah. True.
Another funny thing about Bob Marley, and this has been told, is that he's half white.
Oh, really? Of
Yeah,
course. Typical.
Right.
These- That compensation.
Exactly. I was just about to say it, and I learned that with the mulattoes, my people, is that they overcompensate for the less than quote unquote side of them. It's like they feel like they have to bring it up, and it's like, well, maybe it's less than for a reason.
Right.
Maybe it's not, imperialism that caused it.
True.
But yeah, I just think it's funny that his father was a white Jamaican. I believe he was from German descent. Like it makes you understand why he was so hard on the black thing.
Okay.
Like but you were gonna say something. Sorry.
Kamala Harris, her father is a Jamaican Marxist professor, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not like a normal black American. She's half Jamaican. And then a guy who was in America, I think he was teaching in America, maybe to this day, her father. And then her mother is Indian, and also studying here in America, or came here as an immigrant or something like that. And they had her as an anchor baby. And then she talks all like black every now and then, like Obama, especially when he was younger, talked all black. I saw a clip on American Anchor Baby. You're probably familiar with Anchor Baby. Where Obama was in like 2004, 2005, talking to Diddy, by the way, and talking all black. And when I say black, I think you know what I mean. Just talking
I know
like
what you're saying. Little twang.
Right. And Kamala does this too, but I find it interesting that her father is a Jamaican Marxist professor who doesn't even particularly like her, I don't think. And I don't know if she likes him, or he doesn't appreciate, at least, her promoting the Jamaican stereotype of smoking pot, because she's like, oh, yeah, I smoked pot. It feels good.
Another thing I remember covering this on my show, that he was very adamant about her being against her promoting the black identity. And he was explaining that in Jamaica, or I'm quoting him, not saying we.
Yeah.
We don't identify as races. We don't identify as that. It's more of like, there's cultures, of course. There's Chinese, there's white, there's Irish involved in Jamaica.
Wow.
There's like so many. I mean, Jamaica's very diverse as far as their what's there, but it's mainly African black as far as the racial component.
Okay.
It's like 90%. It's a very, very much. But the funny thing is that's what they're doing with Kamala, is they're just pointing at that and going, well, Jamaica's 90% African genealogy. So that definitely means she's black. She can claim black. And it's like, no, that's not what it means.
Right.
Like, she could just be that small percentage, and she is that small percentage. Because I think her mix is like what you were saying, Indian. She's half Irish, I believe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Candace Owens actually did a really thorough investigation. The investigation only a woman could do, by the way.
Right.
Into the family tree of Kamala Harris. And it was pretty interesting that she's got Indian and Chinese and, very close to my mix, actually.
Interesting.
And I don't consider myself black. And my family didn't consider ourselves black. And I tell people all the time when I come on this show, I was told by my family, my Jamaican family, when when they moved here, when they had us, they learned you kind of distance yourself from black Americans because they're trouble.
Yeah.
And I used to think that they were being racist and being judgmental. And then I learned later on in life, they were right. They were warning me. They were giving me the proper advice.
That makes a lot of sense. I caught that from some of my friends' families. My Asian, Indonesian friends and others. They too distanced themselves from the black thing. Not that they had anything to do with the black thing, but they knew that that the black thing was an issue, was a problem. And people, the younger people thought, oh, that's racist. Us, like high schoolers at the time. I didn't think of it that way necessarily. I just didn't necessarily know because I didn't really have interaction. But I did know that blacks are crazy about the crying racism at a drop of a hat and rioting, stealing. I knew that those were issues in the black community common in there. And then they have like idols like Al Sharpton, who is nothing to respect. He's not a person to respect at all, but they have these false people like Jesse Jackson and others who are just a joke, and yet they're respected, and it's so crazy. So I knew that there was something off about it, and it's interesting that people think, oh, that's racist, but it's obvious why you don't want to associate or make yourself an ally to that madness. And there were some sensible blacks who knew better as well, but it's just not the majority nowadays.
Well, the thing that baffles me is that, like, for instance, my family, they live a very conservative life. You know, they go to church, they're religious, all that stuff, but they vote Democrat.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I don't understand, and I try to understand it. And it's weird because it's not the black identity thing.
Right.
So it's something else. And I think what it is it's sort of they're coming from Jamaica and they don't understand the nuances of America. And they don't understand that there's people that will put on a happy face and tell you they're going to give you this and that. And then they're not going to give it to you and then blame it on somebody else. They don't understand the nuances of the game that's played in our politics. And I think it's as simple as they fall for the smiley face that says they're going to give you stuff. That's what I think my people fell for. I
think that's what happens to the Asians. Although the Asians kind of gravitate towards communism, I guess, in their countries, China and others. I don't know about Korea, but they tend to vote Democrat by a pretty large margin. Some of them come to their senses, especially when they start businesses, but a lot of them don't. And I think that it's subservience to the dominant culture. The young people become Americanized, and young Americanized people are liberal. They're dumb liberals. They become, even in the education system, it's a liberal brainwashing. So, and then there's this outsider mentality. Even if you don't identify with the black thing, people identify with something. People fall into false identities all the time, shallow identities. And I think that there is a big brainwashing push to be kind of, like anti-white or believe in this racism thing. It's like a mass brainwashing. So that might be part of why all the outsiders are for the Democrats.
Well, the difference I see is, for instance, some of my family accepted the black identity, right? And I noticed almost every single one that did, when they found out I was a Trump supporter, they stopped talking to me. The ones that didn't don't agree with me, but they still talk to me and they still, we're still family.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that's the thing that made, with the black identity, it pushes them to be very divisive.
Yeah.
When it comes to when it comes to just ideological differences or like, we're just voting for different people, that's what it is. And we're still family. So I think it could be that. It's just what we see all the time is that when people immigrate over here, the first thing the Democrats do is go to the immigration offices and indoctrinate them
Yeah.
to vote Democrat.
Right.
They get them to do voter registration and all that. And I think it's because that's the only representation they may see, or they saw at least back then, and they didn't see the conservatives out there doing the same thing.
True.
So it's like maybe they, you know, and then you fall easily for the brainwashing of, hey, you know me, they're the evil ones.
Right.
And it's that simple. I think it's that simple.
It's in TV, it's in the social media. Like everything is pushed towards anti-Trump, for example. The mainstream media, the social media. I was talking about yesterday about the contrast in how they treat misinformation. There's misinformation that the Black Lives Matter message is misinformation. Oh, we're suffering from racism. The police are brutal. You can find cases where police go too far. It never has anything to do with race. It has everything to do with police not knowing people's rights and the populace being sort of out of control. The populace is out of control, and then so that includes police. But they say, oh, racism. And so they start riots around the country. Very destructive misinformation, pushing anger. That type of message gets pumped up in the social media and the mainstream media. And then you can find a little bit of questionable information, you could call it, about elections, about all that stuff. That gets suppressed. And the excuse for suppressing it is, oh, people die from that type of misinformation. January 6th happened because of that type of misinformation. You're inciting a riot. Hello, you've been inciting riots with your misinformation, and you make it mainstream, and whole like companies will change they'll put in DEI measures. At least in 2020, they started to get away from it, because propping up your false anger, which is resulting in a whole lot of murders going on around the country.
I mean, it's textbook projection.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And I find it's funny because if you start noticing this projection with the Democrats, you can start predicting what they're going to do. Like, for instance, I believe that they're actually going to lose this election, but then they're gonna do the same thing as far as like claiming it's stolen and go through the courts and do the whole. And they're gonna incite an insurrection.
Right.
Right.
Like Black Lives Matter insurrection.
Right. But they've been doing it already.
Right.
But they're gonna do it to DC. You get what I'm saying? Federal government.
Yeah.
They do it on the state level. I guess that's the whole thing, that they make it seem like it's like a bigger deal.
Like it's a contrast. Oh, because we went to the Capitol building. Whereas they just burned down courthouses and police precincts and stuff like that.
Exactly. Which in reality, the January 6ers were doing the right thing. They weren't burning down the neighborhood. They went, and they didn't even burn down the Capitol. They went and just protested at the Capitol.
They were mostly peaceful. Some of them went out of control.
Yeah. I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. It happens.
And that's what they exploit. They exploit our evil human nature.
Exactly.
And they poke at it, and then when you finally overreact, see? Those whites. Those Trump supporters.
They'll show Black Lives Matter coverage, and they'll show, the black girl in the street crying and all emotional, and they're all holding hands at the vigil, but they don't show the other 10 days of burning down the city. So and then it got funny to the point where the guy had to be standing behind a burning or in front of a burning building because they couldn't find anything that wasn't on fire and pretend that it wasn't violent.
It was fiery, but mostly peaceful.
So,
and Kamala was for bailing those people out, by the way. A lot of those people out.
Yes, absolutely.
Madness.
Which then makes you believe that she was in favor of what was happening.
Right.
That's kind of the implication.
Yep. Man, that's crazy.
So just to put a button on what I was saying is that's all projection. It's there. Whatever they say we're doing, they're either doing it or are going to do it in the future.
That's in, I think, like the Communist Handbook. I once read like some communist manual or handbook or something exposing the communists, And that was one of the things. Accuse others of doing what you're doing, of being what you are. And that's, for one, that's not just communism, that's human nature. You get in a fight with a girl, she accuses you of what she's doing. You get into a fight with anybody.
Yeah.
Anybody who's angry, they'll be like that. Just totally blind. That's pretty interesting.
If you call somebody out for doing something, then they'll try to make it seem like you're doing it too.
Yeah, true.
Like so it's justifying what they're doing. It's like, and
that's true.
It's basic human nature. You're right. That's all we're seeing is just that times a million and all these little situations. It's rather interesting.
And then there's suckers who think that human beings are basically good. I don't think so.
Yeah, in our nature, we're not.
Right.
Like, you ever see two like kids playing that, two toddlers, they push each other down and steal each other's stuff. That's human nature.
And that's when they're pretty innocent.
Right. Innocent.
I have some calls to get to before we get into this rap culture degeneracy stuff. You mentioned that you wouldn't mind giving your take on the Diddy situation. DARRELL in Texas is on the line here. DARRELL, thank you for calling and holding. You're live with Crishaun the Don of Misfit Nation.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How y'all doing?
Doing well. Are you on speakerphone or Bluetooth or something?
Yeah, I took it off Bluetooth. Is this better?
Yeah, that sounds better. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So I wanted to weigh in on the race conversation y'all had. As far as like the blacks and Jamaicans thing, I think it was pretty interesting because I'm black and I'm from Chicago. Grew up in Chicago my whole life. I just moved to Texas, and I've noticed that the word black doesn't have a meaning. It doesn't mean anything. And when I noticed that when other quote unquote blacks from other countries, whether they're Jamaican or Nigerian or whatever, they don't identify as black because they know that the black community is in shambles. And I remember when I was growing up, my African friend told me that Africans don't like black people, but he said it's because they was racist. He said because they think that blacks are lazy and stuff. And when I was a kid, I was like, that's so racist. Why would he say that? But now that I'm old, I'm like, that's true. It's like these people, it's really destructive, and to get grafted into that stuff is just, you don't want to be a part of that. And I understand why they don't want to be a part of that. But the thing is, like, the reason why black is so useful is because it's so liquid. It's like it can be anything.
Right.
So. And the only thing that really ties us to like the Jamaicans and Nigerians is the fact that they lie to the blacks and say, well, to the police officer, you're just black. They don't care that you're Jamaican. They can't tell us apart. And I was believing that because I was like, well, we can't tell white people apart. I don't know what a Scottish looks like next to an Irish versus a German or nothing like that. And I think it's the same way, but that just feeds into the narrative. Whether that's true or not, it doesn't matter because if you conduct yourself as a decent human being, it doesn't matter what color you are.
Totally. That's totally true.
It's based on your behavior.
Yeah. Say what?
It's based on your behavior and how you treat other people and what the situation is.
Since I moved to Texas, I've only realized that because I've actually been able to encounter some more conservatives. The white conservatives, I'm like, wow, these are the nicest people I've ever met in my life. Like, genuinely nice.
Yeah.
Genuinely nice. And
Don't you also realize that you have way more in common with them than you do with liberals? Because that's a big thing I learned. Is that I was like, what?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, once I became Christian and I became conservative, once I reevaluated my actual beliefs and values, and I realized that even the black Christianity is demonic. Like, putting your skin color over God is crazy. And you see, that's how they end up voting Democrat, because at the end of the day, it always falls down to, I'm going to vote for the black man, or I'm not voting for the racist Republican. It's one of the two, and that's why black is bondage. Black means bondage to Democrat Party, because if they want to take your black card away for anything, like when I speak kind of proper. I may not sound super proper to y'all, but in Chicago, this is proper, right? So when I speak like this, and I speak in good English and stuff, they're like, "Are you trying to be white?" When I do good in school or get good grades, are you trying to be white? You speaking white. I play guitar. Are you trying to be white? What does that mean? I can't have talent. I can't be smart. I can't excel. Is that being white? So I'm not black if I do good. But Kamala Harris is black because she went to an HBCU.
I know.
It's horribly inconsistent.
Yeah, totally.
It's horribly inconsistent. Yeah. But I just want to weigh in on that. And y'all hit it right on the head, man. People want to distance themselves from the blacks because it's decadent. I distance myself from the blacks. That's why I'm in Texas now.
Yeah, smart move. You actually extended your life moving from Chicago to Texas.
You said what?
He said you extended your life moving from Chicago to Texas.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was on King Drive, and any state has King Drive, and it's not the best place. Like I was just doing lifts over by King Drive, and it looks exactly like Chicago's King Drive.
Here's the thing I'll say.
Stuff.
Oh, Martin Luther King Drive. You're talking about Martin Luther King Drive. That King. Oh man.
Yeah,
that can be a dangerous street.
Those are bad everywhere.
Yeah, and I was
Imagine
living
in
there.
Chicago.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty.
Wow.
That thing about talking white and all that stuff, that's the way they keep you stupid.
Yeah.
That's how they peer pressure you into staying stupid. It's like they do that with a lot of I remember growing up. You going to school? Man, you lame.
Literally.
You know what I mean?
My friends,
a lot of people fall for that.
My Asian friends, who were not the smart kind of Asian necessarily. Some of them were relatively okay. But I had my family together, and we would eat together and have like a birthday party, and it was like a together family. And they're like, "You guys are so white." Or I put my seatbelt on when I got in the van, and they're like, "Look at you, you're so white. Put it on your seatbelt." So this thing is infected more than just the blacks. It's infected. I don't know.
Yeah. It's that's why I say it's bondage to Democrat part to liberalism. It's bondage to liberalism.
Yeah.
And it's just live like YOLO, live life on the edge. Anything that's white or even godly in nature, just character, virtue, upstanding, having principles, that's seen as white.
Yeah,
so
true.
if you portray that, you must be trying to be white. And that's how they reject Christianity, because once they painted Jesus as white, it was cooked. Because now they can just attach all of that to whiteness, which is in spiritually attacking, the godly principles, but it's kind of hard to explain that to people, because it's not about white or black, it's about good or evil. But they just painted good as white and black as no. They painted white as bad, right? And they painted the black as good. But you see, every time the blacks do something, it's not good, and whenever the whites do something, it's demonized as bad. So they kind of flipped it, and it's weird. You can't even explain it to like the average person. You got to already be paying attention.
I think what it is, Darrell, is that it's that black means liberal and white means conservative.
Yeah.
And I say it all the time, because when I was a liberal, people considered me black. Soon as I put on the red hat, I was white supremacist, Southern man with a hood and a whip, burning crosses.
Yeah. That's when I was moving to Texas, people told me like, they was like, "Why are you moving to Texas? Black people don't have the same rights down there." I'm like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
That doesn't even make no sense.
But you realize what the big part of socialism, what it basically is mass peer pressure. It's to make you feel like, to wear this MAGA hat, I should feel a certain way about it. And it's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
So that's how it can work, because it's kind of like a loophole in the Constitution. Like, you can't legally do it, but socially you can enforce these things, and it just kind of gets accepted to where if they were to change the Constitution, nobody would care, because they were already doing it.
So true, man. Yeah, it's de facto whatever they want.
Yeah.
With or without the law. That's interesting.
Yeah.
But look at how we treat.
I see it.
Look at how we treat our foreign enemies. Half of us are on board. Half of us treat them like they're actually the good guys.
Yeah.
Hamas and all that. It's like we're so divided. We couldn't even pick an enemy to unite against.
True. Interesting, Darrell. Great. Is it 2 L's at the end of your name or 1 L?
It's 2 L's and it's actually Darrell, but you know.
Oh, okay. How do you spell it? Just from
Darrell.
I like to have it right.
Yeah, it's DARRELL. 2 R's, 2 L's.
Okay, nice.
Darrell.
Darrell.
Yeah.
My bag.
Yeah, love the show, man. Love the show. Been tuning in for a while. You definitely got my attention.
Cool,
Appreciate
man.
what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
Nice talking to you, Darrell.
Yeah, you too.
Bye. Before we get into this call, are you a flat earther or a ball tard? Crishaun the Don.
I'm a baller.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even call himself a ball tard. I have a call from Bulgaria. Denny in Bulgaria wants to talk about the North and South Pole, which would indicate ball Earth, I think. What's up, Denny in Bulgaria? You're live with Crishaun the Don and Hake.
Good evening, Mr. Don. Good evening, Mr. Hake. I hope both of you are fine.
Doing well.
Glad to hear. I'm calling with some interesting... Mr. Hake, I was watching your program yesterday. I loved it. And you were playing with this globe?
Yeah.
With the club? Yes. Mr. Hake, I'm calling because I think you may find this interesting, sir. I assume you do know that the South Pole is called Antarctica and the North Pole is called Arctica, right?
Yeah, the Arctic. The Antarctic. Antarctic?
Correct, sir.
Arctic. Yes.
Yes. And why is that?
Antarctic means like anti-Arctic. I don't know. I don't know why. I forget.
You're not wrong, sir. Arcticus is a Greek word for bear. And there are bears in the North Pole. And anti-Arcticus means that there are no bears at the South Pole.
I did not know that. I don't know if I ever learned that one about bears. So there are polar bears up in the North Pole, but not in the South Pole. Antarctic, no bear.
So it's kind of like a warning system. Bear, no bear.
Yeah.
Safe, no safe.
Even though there's no continent on the North Pole. Interesting.
No, there isn't, Mr. Hake.
Just glaciers and stuff.
Now, the guy from Bulgaria, are you a flat earther?
No, sir, I'm not. Never have been.
Okay.
Can't you tell by his sensible presentation?
Yes, yeah.
No, shout out to the flat earthers. You're sensible too, in some ways, on some things, just not that thing.
Except for the foundation of your beliefs.
Well, to be honest, gentlemen, there are a lot of people that are convinced that the Earth is round, and they are a lot of things, but not sensible.
True. Yep. A whole lot of ball earthers are dumb liberals or dumb so-called conservatives and so-called Christians. It's very true.
Not to skip the entire conversation, but what would be the motive to hide that from us?
Well,
beg your pardon?
I know why. He's asking what would be the motive to hide the supposed notion if the Earth were flat. Why would they hide that from us? I know why.
Who's hiding it?
All of the pilots and fake space people and governments colluding around the Earth, preventing us from visiting Antarctica, which they say is the ice walls that's instead of being a continent down here, it's ice walls surrounding the world, keeping us from falling off.
And Flat Earth Dave, shout outs to Flat Earth Dave, he actually believes that there's more land beyond the ice walls that they're hiding for. That was his idea of what the motive was.
Yeah.
That they're hiding more land and resources from us.
Oh, interesting. Well, what the Christians say is that if the Earth is flat, that means God made us and we're the center of God's universe and we're special. But if it's this ball spinning through space, we're insignificant, we're nothing, and there is no God. That's what they think. That's what the Christian flat earthers say.
A very odd thing to say, and if I may, first of all, what kind of resources? I mean, you have to elaborate. I know you just said it, but that doesn't really stand. And I know a few people that, and I know them personally, that went to Antarctica from Greenland to Canada, and they visited over there because they were scientists. So nobody is stopping you to go there if you want to. You really shouldn't want to because it's extremely cold and very, very unpleasant.
Yeah.
But it's very open. If you want to go there, you can go there.
That's not what they say. They say that there's an international treaty where nobody's allowed to go except under strict
I think that
things.
the treaty is that you're not allowed to do like scientific experiments with the land.
Oh, interesting.
I don't think I think you're allowed to go.
Okay.
They just kind of they're bastardizing the sort of
Anchor Baby showed
idea
like
of the
Mr.
treaty.
Beast, some YouTuber went down there.
The people I was referring to were a team of geologists from Bulgaria, Italy, and Malta, and they did their first scientific research. So that's, I mean, if we follow that logic, then North Korea doesn't exist because you're not allowed there either.
Yeah.
But we know it exists, and it's rather odd to say that they're hiding resources. Well, I'm a regular man living in the European Union, and I have all the resources that I need to survive. So what are you hiding from me?
Right. Good point.
And if there are resources that certain governments are hiding from us, quote unquote hiding, then maybe it's for the better. I personally know a few people that should not be trusted to have scissors in their homes. So if we're talking about other kinds of resources, then maybe it's for the best. But
well, see, with that logic, then we lead to gun control.
I know.
I'd rather an idiot with scissors to stab his eye than us ban scissors. You get what I mean?
Indeed.
The gun control here is pretty self-explained. Like, for example, if you want to have a permit to carry a weapon, you have to, do a test. But the test is absurd because there's a lady over there, and she asks you, if we give you the permit to have a gun, are you going to shoot your neighbor? And you'll say, well, no. And she will ask, are you sure? And then you say again, well, yeah, I'm sure I'm not going to shoot my neighbor. And that's the test.
And then you get it.
Pretty easy. Yeah, then you get the permit, yeah.
Based Bulgaria. I like it too.
But you have to go through that.
True honor system.
Yeah, true.
How's your gun violence problem there? Is it a problem?
We don't have those in Southern Europe.
And you guys, are you former communists? Is your country former communist?
Yes. Yes, it was during the occupation of the Soviet Union between 1944, 9th of September 1944, and it fell on 10th of November 1989. So, yeah. But actually, during the Soviet Union, basically everybody were armed here.
Oh, wow.
Odd. Yeah, this was the former Soviet Republic. Almost every country had almost every family from every country had at least a revolver in their home.
Nice.
I remember my father having one. I don't have one, but because they don't need one. But yeah, everybody had one almost.
Wow. Nice, Denny in Bulgaria. Enlightening info. Appreciate it. It's good to hear from you, as always.
It's always good to hear from you, Mr. Hake. It's good to hear from Mr. Don. And I know how busy you are, sir. I wish you kind regards to your colleagues and your audience, and God be with you.
Thank you, man. Take care.
Thank you, Danny.
Likewise. Good day.
Bye. What about interracial dating, Crishaun the Don? We have a caller who has a question on this.
Yeah, sure.
Serge in Texas.
Interracial.
On the line here. I know. What's up, Serge? Thank you for calling and holding there, man. You're live with Crishaun the Don of Misfit Nation.
What's going on, Hake?
Hey.
What's going on, Crishaun the Don?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nothing much. So I have a question for you guys. I'm going to pose it just how it was written. Should I date white women?
And what are you?
My grandmother got with a Puerto Rican, so she's black and Puerto Rican. So she made black and Puerto Rican kids. And my other grandmother, which is my mom's mom, she made white and black. I think Irish and black.
So you're
the
black,
Irish got around.
Black, yeah, they did. Black, Puerto Rican, Irish, and black. So you're half black, quarter Puerto Rican, and then quarter Irish, or something like that, roughly. And should you date a white woman?
Yeah, I realized, like, you remember last time we talked about this, I realized that, like, all the white women that like black men, now all people are broken, but there's something a little bit deeper of hell you got to go through in that situation. You know, it just seems that everything is not okay with them.
With the white women who tend to,
well,
the type of white woman who tends to get with a black man.
Yeah, it seems like they're not themselves for the most part. Majority of them, not all, but most majority of them. It seems like they're enculturated with the hip hop culture. Like they're not even themselves, like at all, and that worries me. But at the same time, I've been dating. I'm 33 now. Well, wait, hold on, Joel, listening in. I'm in my 30s. And it's like, if I could have success with any woman, right? It doesn't necessarily got to be a white woman. I'm totally joking about that. Why not white? And would you disavow that?
Would I disavow a white woman getting with SERG?
No, not me. But just
a white
general,
woman getting with a black man?
Just the mixing.
To me, it seems like an odd thing. I get it because we've been forced together in this artificial diversity, and people fall for one another like that. What do you say, Crishaun?
Honestly, I don't care either way. As far as the whole, like, you know, identity thing. Now, I will say this. I did want to disagree with him, but he kind of, when he was explaining the white girls that go for black guys, he kind of did almost to a T explain my mother. Now, here's the thing.
That's funny.
Now, I don't know if that's a racial thing. I did grow up in kind of a crazy household, but there was a lot of cultural clashes, but, you know, I don't think it ruined me or kind of, you know, I don't think any of that really affects your kids or anything like that. Here's the thing. I think men are you need to be more sexist, because the more sexist I got, the more I realized women are susceptible to brainwashing and what we were talking about earlier, peer pressure and all that type of stuff.
Big time.
If she likes you, you can indoctrinate her into what you believe, and she'll believe it, at least for as long as you guys are together. So just whoever you're with, it doesn't matter the race, especially black women too, because they pretend to be hard, but you know, that's a whole nother story. The thing is that just be a man and make sure she follows you. That's the problem that I found with a lot of white men is a big part of why we're in the mess we're in now is a lot of white men didn't want to stand up to their wives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
And their horrible politics that they were indoctrinated by, you know, sitting at home watching Oprah all day.
Shameful.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like men just wanted to avoid a awkward conversation with their wives, so they just adopted their politics.
That's true. We'll just bash Oprah, but not deal with the wife right next door or right in the same house. Interesting.
Absolutely. And a lot of these red pillers do that too.
She doesn't, it's not that she has to like you, she has to respect you.
Absolutely.
In order to respect your beliefs.
Hake, you just said it perfectly. When you're in a relationship, make sure she respects you before you look for love.
Nice.
I don't care if my girl loves me, as long as she respects me, I'll be happy.
Fair enough.
Because she's going to treat me right.
But Crishaun, I want to ask you guys, but wouldn't it be odd though for if God, I'm leaning more toward God don't want us to mix. And let me tell you why. I simply think this because whites can be an eliminated race based off of the constant mix. And I just think that I think like when you love white people, like you want to see them here, and it's just like, well, mixing, could it be possible that they won't be on the planet with the constant mixing?
Well, if it's mixed, it's no race.
Right.
I mean, it's all based on, you're talking about a mental thing. It's not genes, black and white isn't based on your genes. It's based on what you believe.
Think so? What do you think?
Absolutely.
A big part of it definitely is. Like you can love the whites and be white on the inside. White and that type of white on the inside is not even necessarily white in your culture, but white friendly and friendly to everybody because you have love on the inside. And that's more important than the genes thing. I'm also not for whites breeding themselves out of existence, but that really has little to do with me or you or any individual. It's nice to say that. It's nice to point it out that's happening, so that people can become a little bit more aware and also catch themselves. Why am I interested in these other races? Or just it's good for people to be aware and able to speak openly. But that's that type of thing will either fix itself by masses of people making babies again, or it will just whites will go out of existence. There'll just be a whole bunch of mixed people, just like the Jews and
that's what
I don't.
That's what I don't want. So my question is, I've noticed that.
But why do you not want it?
What does it matter?
But why do you not want it? I mean, I don't particularly want it, but it's not something that's a concern to me.
Why do I?
Because I have no say over it.
The mixing.
Yeah.
I don't want it. I just think, right? It's just a thought that it doesn't seem right.
It doesn't. I agree with you. It doesn't seem right, but I don't have but you should have a neither want nor not want on this topic.
No, I don't,
think.
and I don't. I really don't. It doesn't matter. Like Crishaun the Don said, it at the end of the day, it's someone who's gonna follow me. But I will say though, white women are very good at initial obedience, and this is I'm observing myself, and I can see that I like that. Because I've never experienced that on the surface, like right away they're like, okay, I'll do that, right? As opposed to what I'm used to dealing with and other races, which is like it's a struggle. So, but white women ain't obeying either. But I'm just saying, I notice within me that's what
white women play the long game.
Yeah, it's kind of
they'll be obedient right away, but then later on. You got to make sure they realize that that's a real thing. It's not just a game that you're playing. It's not role play. But yeah. I don't understand why, like, and maybe just from my perspective, I don't get it. But why is it like? Why do you think it doesn't feel right? Do you think that's a natural thing, or do you think you don't feel right because we've been? I don't want to keep using the word brainwashed, but brainwashed into this racial thing. This divide of races and preserving bloodlines. What's the importance?
I don't think it's right. I think that blacks and whites are different birds, if you will. But we're birds. We're all birds.
Like how Muhammad Ali said, Cassius Clay. I think Cassius Clay said
something like that.
Yeah, he said something like, birds go, this type of bird stays with this type of bird. So birds of a feather kind of flock together.
But that's not like accurate even to human beings. Like because for instance, we can all use each other's organs, we can use each other's blood transfusions. I can take somebody's blood, I can't tell what race they were.
Yeah, a crow is pretty different from a hummingbird.
That's an intellectual thing that you assume that we can utilize that on a human level.
No, we've done it. It's not intellectual. It's been done.
Yeah, even though it's been done, but that's not God's work. That's our work as men.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, how doesn't that prove though that we're not that different as far as like our structure?
So having the same organs, is it safe to say that an animal has a brain as well and has a liver and has a?
Well, I guess it's, to be fair to the conversation, they do use like pig valves to fix people's hearts. So
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily prove it.
Yeah, I think I got you on that one.
No, you didn't get me. You just.
Well,
I'm playing.
Okay, explain the blood then. Explain why you can't tell people's race by the blood.
What? I don't know what you mean. Explain the blood.
Like if I take your blood, I can't tell that you're Puerto Rican and Irish.
Right. So there's a blood type thing. You believe in that?
Sure, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know anything about it, so that's why I say I guess.
I don't. Yeah, nothing about it, but I do know that you can kind of see with your spiritual eye that it would be best to stay with your kind. In other cultures, if you notice, outside of America, even when they move to America, except the anchor baby, of course, they actually say they don't say that they're American. They actually say they're from where their family is from, and that's important. And it's just like we're supposed to say that the child is the father's, but I noticed that in America they do things AZZ backwards, and I think this is one of those things that we're getting backwards because we don't want to come off as racist or something like that by saying that we should stick to our own.
Yeah, that's
but
definitely
I think this
true.
Is backwards. I think it's okay to do that, and I think we should do that. But I'm open at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you, Serge. I appreciate it, man.
Yep.
Take care.
Thank you.
Don't worry too much about the women or about the race.
I won't.
Yeah, exactly.
Take care.
Thanks, man.
All right. Bye. What were you about to say, Crishaun? There.
I was just gonna say I don't care either way. I don't tell people to mix races, and I don't tell people who to be with. That's like not really.
Yeah.
I don't see it that way, I guess, but
true.
I don't know. If there is a biblical like argument, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah.
I'm not against the conversation.
I know that in the Bible God did warn the Israelites not to worship after these other women's gods. And that tends to be what happens. Men tend to worship the woman and her and follow after whatever she's about, which is the upside down. I think God kind of knows that men are betas and tend to. That's what happened to King Solomon, I think. He had like 1,000 wives, and he eventually, even in all his wisdom, he forsook that and followed after some of the women's gods.
Well, that's exactly why I tell men, indoctrinate your women before you fall in love with them.
Right.
You're a fool if you don't do it otherwise.
There are people out there who, and it probably applies to most of us men, youngish men, or not even that young, that the idea of a woman is way too important to us. The idea of getting a woman and having a woman and the right way to do it and the right not way to do it is occupying the mind, when I don't think Jesus meant for us to be thinking about that much.
I mean, I think I tend to believe that sometimes we write that off a little bit. I think definitely, getting married, having kids and all that stuff is part of what we're supposed to do. So
right.
There has to be a lot of thought into that because that is a big deal. So I think
it's replacing God is my point. It's becoming sorry, finish your point.
I was just going to say, you are right though, in that men let that happen. Men let women, sometimes men even let women convert them to another religion. And they don't even believe it. They just want to be with her.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, that's just a man's weakness, though.
Yep. True.
So I think the thing is exactly what we're talking about right now is that's not talked about enough, that men need to lead their relationships. They need to indoctrinate their women.
Yeah.
If they're not Christians, you need to bring them to Christianity before you marry them.
Yeah.
Like, you can't compromise as a man
Right.
on those things.
And but men are willing to compromise because they want the woman so bad.
Yes. They're appealing to their flesh.
Yeah. Interesting, man. Before we get back to calls, and we do have some super chats as well, we're at the top of the hour. Let's get to this. What did I just tease that we were going to talk about? Oh, Diddy. Speaking of men and beta, and I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about this Sean Combs situation other than that the feds went after him and people are saying all kinds of crazy things about him. So keeping it child-friendly, family-friendly, what do you have to say about this situation?
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, just to kind of catch you up, I guess, more or less Diddy is the, the rap black version of Jeffrey Epstein.
Okay.
He was doing the whole thing of recording people at these wild SEX parties.
Right. Nice.
SEX parties. They called them freak offs.
Right.
And he was recording them doing all this crazy debaucherous stuff and
so
then using that.
So that has been proven that he was recording it or somebody was recording it.
Well, I guess we haven't seen full-on proof, but the FBI came out and said we have the tapes.
Oh.
Like, they confirmed they have the tapes. The known tapes. This was a thing that was known through hip-hop for a long time. It was just never really brought to light. But
it was mostly in the upper echelons of so-called upper echelons of hip-hop, like the richies, the rich people.
It's not necessarily.
Oh.
And here's the funny thing is whenever when I was in music and I was a producer and a rapper.
Yeah.
Anytime I met anybody that was, anybody important or somebody who was executive or whatever that I guess cared somewhat about people, I always was told never sign with Diddy.
Oh,
never
really?
Go out. And this was like early 2000s.
And that was called Bad Boy, right?
Bad Boy Entertainment.
Bad Boy.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. So I don't have any like personal experience or anything like that. I wasn't that deep in. But here's the thing is that on the lower level, they're doing sort of the same thing because all it is that you're bringing people who have nothing. And as long as you have some kind of money that they've never seen before, you can do something crazy and get away with it. You know what I mean? So the thing is like, for instance, I've got invited to parties before where what it is, and this is how I think they do it with most people because they tried to do it with me, is they actually owed me money. And I'm talking about certain record labels, right?
Yeah.
They owed me money where I was doing all this work because I was like, hey, I'm a nobody. I'm going to try to work my way up. But my way was like, let me go to the executives and talk to them about the money. And then we'll figure out a deal from there, right? That way I'll just at least have an in with the executives. Funny thing was every time I tried to talk to executives, they always kind of shunned me off. Well, we'll talk later, that kind of thing. Out of nowhere, I get a call and there was this big artist that I was going to work with. Kodak Black, I'll just say his name because from Florida.
Whom Trump pardoned for some thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Kodak Black became a huge Trump supporter.
Okay.
He also left this label that I'm talking about because they were a little off with their money. So they never gave me a chance, never even wanted to like really talk to me. Out of nowhere, the exec calls me happy, super excited. And he's like, hey, man, we're having this big party. We want you to come out. There's going to be women. There's going to be food. There's going to be drinks. And I'm like, all right, yeah, cool. So me and my friend, my partner at the time, we're getting ready. And out of nowhere, I just had this feeling in the pit of my stomach that was just, and I believe to this day it was God telling me, don't go. Right.
Nice. Yeah.
And I ended up not going. And I realized in the thinking of it was they wanted me to owe them something. Because then they'd go, when I go to talk to them about money later, they'd go, oh, we spent all this money on this party. You actually owe us $10,000.
Wow.
Now what are you going to do?
Who knows? Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah.
So what's funny is when I turned down the party, I never heard from them again. And I think part of that was that they put the feelers out, and I think Diddy and the whole people who do this type of stuff, they put the feelers out. They don't just invite you to the freak off. They invite you to maybe just a regular party. They see if you're stupid or they see if you're naive. And a funny thing is a lot of these guys, and it wouldn't work with me, these executives, because they're all hood dudes. They talk to me like I'm some hood guy, some hood rat, and like they tried to be a father figure to me. And luckily, I had a father.
Right.
I loved my father. I had a great relationship with my father. He taught me almost everything I knew, right? And it's like, I realized that protected me, because these guys who don't have that, who don't have family structure, they all got swooped up and, you know, chewed up and spit out, basically.
Wow.
A lot of these women and, you know, all that type of stuff, they get promised this stuff and they fall for it because it's naivety, you know?
The enticement of all that worldly stuff. Wow.
Yes. Here's another big part of it that doesn't get spoken about at all.
And you ingratiate yourself with those people by doing that for them, even if it's not like a blackmail thing or whatever. You end up having people hooked.
Sometimes it could be as small as you witnessed somebody getting beat up.
Wow.
And now you could be an accessory.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? You could be witnessing a drug deal. You could be witnessing and it's like, do you say something? Do you know, because I never liked being around that stuff.
Right.
So,
interesting. Dang.
Yeah. And it's crazy because I was totally out of my element, but I never like feared them because I still grew up around that. And,
right.
And that's where I kind of thrived in that, you know, I made money. I got put in places that I never would have otherwise. But the more and more I got that, the less empty it felt. And I was just like, or the more empty it felt.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I don't even know what this is anymore. What does it mean? You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, real quick, just to bring it back to the Diddy thing.
Yeah.
A big part that doesn't get talked about with hip hop specifically is the no snitching policy and how it plays into situations like this with Diddy in the black community and guys like R. Kelly, for instance, who got away with molesting, you know, young girls for decades. And it was because we can't put another black man in prison, and we can't do it. Was all that stuff. And Reverend Al came out and spoke about it, and you know, and eventually that's where it's gonna go. Maybe with Diddy, at some point, some people are gonna stand up and start saying that.
Yeah, because right now none of the blacks on Twitter or anywhere are defending him. They're like all acting like they're so shocked, and they're listening to these different lyrics from Justin Bieber and all this stuff, and they're just totally turned on him.
Well, the hip hop community kind of gone silent over the whole thing. A really interesting person that everybody should pay attention to is 50 Cent. Actually, have you ever, you know about 50 Cent, right?
I've heard of that man.
Yeah,
Indeed.
yeah. 50 Cent's been going after Diddy for this whole thing since the beginning, since he came out in 2003, and he's been going after Diddy and calling him gay, and you know, claiming he's a homosexual and all that stuff. That's where it all really kind of came from. And what's funny is 50 Cent, when he was doing that, he was on the top of, you know, he was the king of hip hop at that time.
Yeah.
And they blackballed 50 Cent because of this. And here's another name you got to look out for is DJ Khaled. You've heard of DJ Khaled?
He's the sort of Arab fat guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. DJ Khaled helped P. Diddy blackball 50 Cent because DJ Khaled was running the airwaves of Miami at the time, and Miami music was what was on top. So
and
DJ Khaled.
How do you know this stuff? If you don't mind my asking, is it like something that's rumors in the hip hop world that's just kind of accepted?
It was rumor for a long time, and then like this has been debated. Like we debated this decades when I was in the music.
Like would I see this stuff on Wikipedia?
Some of it maybe.
Because some of it would be reported, and then some of it would be just people's conclusions based on stuff that they've heard and seen.
This is where I'm coming from. I never saw anything specific. I never saw anything with Diddy, right?
Right.
But when it came out that this whole thing happened, I wasn't surprised.
Yeah.
because I heard all the stories throughout my entire career.
Uh-huh.
And then 50 Cent also wrote about it in his book about
Oh,
how he
okay.
got blackballed.
Oh,
from
okay. Oh, okay. So
from
that's
the
according to
rap.
50 Cent being blackballed by DJ Khaled
Yes.
in collusion with Sean Combs.
They played the sort of Marxist game with it where they
Okay.
took 50 Cent off the radio and they wouldn't give him any radio play. And then it created the perception that 50 Cent had fallen off.
Right. Yep. Interesting.
But meanwhile, 50 Cent was putting out music, like, you know, a couple albums even. So he got blackballed and then he eventually went to doing TV and stuff like that. But at the same time, DJ Khaled
right.
helped Diddy create Bad Boy South, which was his southern branch of Bad Boy Records.
Okay.
So it's all, what I'm saying is it's all intertwined and intermingled and stuff like that. And I start looking at certain people, like for instance, Diddy, DJ Khaled, and even you look at people in politics, like
drama.
There's these people who you look at and you go like, what do they do? What is their talent?
Yeah. Why are they why is
why
Kamala Harris in any kind of office, period?
Yes. Why was she
even
incompetent
Attorney
people-
General of California?
Yeah, exactly.
Or DA
And-
in San Francisco.
Right. And then even like, for instance, DJ Khaled, what does he actually do that makes him a multi-millionaire? You know, millionaire, not billionaire. Sorry. And it's funny because then you look at Jeffrey Epstein and you ask the same question.
How do you get to be a billionaire?
And people go, stocks. And it's like the same thing when you look at DJ Khaled and P. Diddy. What do? Rap music? It's
I don't know. I
believe
that. Well, it sounds Sean Combs Diddy. He found Usher, right? And Usher found Justin Bieber. So those are two like major, huge names, right?
Well, it's not necessarily like there's a difference between finding somebody that's already doing a thing that you go, okay, we can put billions of dollars behind this and make it, you know, something even, you know, or finding a natural talent. But honestly, there's not really like there is a talent in it, but it's not worth what they're getting paid. And that's my point.
Okay.
Is like we're talking like A&Rs and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people in the music business that get paid that I look around and I go like, I don't even know what you do.
Right.
And they can't even explain it. Like if you can't explain what you do in one sentence, then you probably don't do anything important. And you're probably getting overpaid.
Yeah.
So my thing is that, yeah, sure, finding talent is a thing into itself, but it's not like there's many people that do that. My grandfather was good at doing that and he wasn't in the music business. Like it's not, it's just a thing that people have.
All right.
It's not, yeah. So I think I kind of explained that, right?
Yeah. How about the angle of American Anchor Baby covered this on his show. He read part of the indictment. He read the whole 14 pages of the indictment. And he said that this U.S. attorney from the DOJ was this black guy, and there's this trend of these so-called go-getters who go get a big name to take him down, somebody who's been on top. There's rumors, so they see he's vulnerable. Bill Cosby, all these guys that they've taken down over the years. And they, being people, have taken them down from Me Too type allegations and stuff like that. And the culture is all woman friendly, victim friendly. I don't even know if there are or what victims Diddy has. People say Bieber, but I don't know. That's not really named in the indictment, at least not at this point. What do you think about the DOJ, the Department of Injustice, going after people? It seems selective. It seems they're not about justice. What do you take? What's your take on this?
Here's
What's your impression? if you have
this
any.
This is my take. I don't think I necessarily have any evidence to back this up, but we'll see in the future. I personally believe that P. Diddy was already working with the feds. I believe he was a federal informant. And the only thing that gives me that impression is that anytime you see somebody moving the way that he was moving, and what I mean by that is committing crimes and doing these things so blatantly and so brazen and being arrogant about it and cocky and showing off. Those types of people that you see doing that are probably working for the feds, or they're informant on some kind of level. So I wouldn't be surprised if that came out, that he was working with the feds. And what I mean by that too is that the feds, to get that information, will let these guys go out and commit these crimes with immunity. Like, you can go do what you're going to do, but give us some information. It's like working with a drug dealer.
Okay.
Like, you can keep dealing your drugs, but give us your competition.
Huh.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of drug dealers would use that to their advantage. And then plus, it also adds to the levity of why Diddy was never really touched as far as getting beat up or murdered himself or anything like that. Doing all this crazy stuff is because they know in the hood you don't touch an informant. All that stuff is the movies where informants in the hood get killed.
Right.
That might happen now in Chicago or something, but it's not happening in like regular hoods.
Interesting.
They know to leave the informant out. They just push him away.
So it's just another example of a man who has outlived his usefulness, and they take him down with no love.
It's that, or they needed some kind of distraction for something bigger. And I hate to sound like that guy. That's super conspiracy theory world, but or there's the whole idea that they went on a scrub mission, the FBI, that we'll never see these tapes. That they I mean, I don't know why they tell us they tell us they have him.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the rumor the first time, was when they raided his mansion the first time, that they did a scrub mission and got rid of the tapes.
To me, it seems odd that there's so much excitement about this. I kind of understand it because it is like tabloidy. People love minding other people's business. I can't really find myself to be interested in what somebody else did, because I'm not,
totally understand.
Not part of that world,
And that's the thing, is I was a part of that world. So that's the only reason why I'm interested in it. Cause again, I've heard all the stories, and and a big part of it too is that the secret society thing of like, I understand now, like I can accept why I didn't get where I wanted to be. Like, it's because they tried to let me into the secret society, and they realized, and I was too naive to realize I wasn't naive enough.
Right.
You get what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing. Like, I didn't realize what it was. And I'm glad I was naive at that point, because I might have played the game if I knew what was going on.
Right. And then you'd be
my evil nature. Yeah.
Right. Would be stuck potentially.
Exactly. I could be in a worse position. Now I could come on here and say what I want, do what I want.
Yeah, it's better to be free. Indeed.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
and I don't want to be famous. I don't want to be a rich rapper anymore. That, like, I look at the idea of that now, and I laugh at it. It's hilarious.
Yeah, for sure. Then you have no privacy. You're a target. God forbid your girlfriend posts on social media that you're at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. You get robbed and killed.
Yeah. Get robbed and killed for my necklace.
What a mess.
I have one more thing that I wanted to say, because about when it comes to all of this whole thing, and we're, just to tie it into what we talk about all the time, which is politics, right? When we talk about black media, hip hop, radio, all that type of stuff, do you know that black fraternities, they run black media? You know about this?
No, I hadn't really thought about it. But you're talking about like these college black fraternities, that type of black fraternities?
Yes, yes. And I'm talking about like I don't know the actual names, but the Phi Zeta Gamma, Phi Beta Homo,
that stuff.
Whatever they're called. Yeah. They run black media. They like, and it's specific fraternities. For instance, P. Diddy, Steve Harvey, Bill Cosby, even Martin Luther King, all the way back, they were all members of these black fraternities.
Whoa.
And I really believe that this is where all that stuff comes from. This whole thing of we're going to record you doing something embarrassing, and then we're going to blackmail you with the video. I believe that's where all that comes from, is these fraternities, specifically the black ones when we're talking about the Diddy situation. And that's where he learned it, is from all those hazing rituals and all that. That strips away at you as a human, as a man.
Yeah.
It takes away your dignity. It's designed to do that. It's designed to make you like not a person.
Yeah.
You know? So you're not an individual that can make your own decisions anymore.
You're controlled. So, and people, human beings, evil people love controlling others. And,
absolutely.
And if they don't, they'll try to destroy you. They'll try to destroy your reputation. They'll talk crap. They'll make up stuff. They will cast things in the worst light possible. That's another reason why I don't really like to even concern myself with this stuff, because I don't know the truth. But I'll see people on social media and in live chats and elsewhere just saying the most disgusting, explicit, vulgar stuff that may not even be true, but they'll just say it like it's true about what Diddy did, for example, or what other people did or have done. And they're just totally in their imaginations, because that's how the other evil human nature is. It loves that gossip and slander and stuff and destruction. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
Well, but the thing is, though, I think it is important to talk about for one reason, is that when you look at the whole the end game of the whole thing, right? Because we've talked about this before, is for instance, the LGBTQ movement, how it's infiltrated even hip hop.
Yeah.
And hip hop used to be very anti-gay.
Right.
You know? And it all ties into partially my theory is that it ties into the blackballing of 50 Cent, because once they got rid of 50 Cent and the culture was no longer following 50 Cent, who had these sort of traditional old school ways,
aggressively straight,
right, they were able to successfully now move hip hop into a less masculine kind of place, where right after that you'll see that's where it went into the colorful dressing and the, even kind of like gay characters in hip hop.
Yeah.
All the way to the point now we have Lil Nas X riding on Satan, So that's the only reason why I find interest in talking about it, is because of what it all actually leads to in the physical world.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. Like, of not.
It's an interesting story in that it shows human nature. Like, it shows the human nature of the people who like to gossip and get crazy and nasty in just discussing it and spreading rumors, but also of him himself, of the DOJ who are going after him. It's not as though they're standing for anything good. It's like nobody's good in this situation, nor the people, nor the supposed prostitutes or whatever those gals were who went into these parties as though they're victims, or the people who were suckered into, the fatherless young men who were suckered into going into this stuff, or whoever he was inviting and ingratiating or blackmailing or whatever was happening. Nobody's innocent.
and here's another thing that I think we're very naive on as a society, is that we think, oh, well, we got Diddy and we got Harvey Weinstein and Epstein. Now nobody's going to do it anymore because we've set an example. No, that's still going to happen. And here's the funny thing. The DOJ is working for the administration that was exposed for bringing in the child sex trafficking and stuff like that. So who's who's really fighting with a good motive here?
Yeah,
It's
those
like,
are
it's
just
hard to really
scapegoats to
tell.
pretend like they're going after them, but in reality, nobody's going after the criminals.
Oh, well, we need to cover ourselves. Let's give him Diddy.
Yeah, that's
Diddy,
true.
you're up. You're
Yep.
up. Yeah. So I get you. It's hard to really
totally selective.
sift through it, and yeah.
Wow, sick stuff going on in the world.
Really.
I want to get to a call or two and super chats, man. Hopefully we can get to this second or whatever, however many attempts or wishes to assassinate our greatest president. I say he's our greatest. I don't know what you say.
No, I agree.
But
Vote
Kyle,
for Donald Trump.
indeed. Kyle in Massachusetts is on the line here. Kyle, thank you for calling and holding, man. You're live with Crishaun the Don of Misfit Nation and Hake.
How is it going? Hold on one sec. How's it going, fellas?
Going well, thank you.
Hey, Kyle.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about the Diddy thing. Actually, yeah, had me thinking about a little bit of an old school banger that I actually kind of enjoyed by P Diddley. Just joking. P Diddy. It was
I'll be missing you.
Shake Your Tail Feather. And I always thought I'm a little bit younger, not 30 yet. So when that was coming out, I was about probably 4 or 5 or something. So yeah, I used to jam out to that, and I'll throw it on. Ironically, these days it still sounds good, it's good, well produced. The tail feather part, though, wonder what that's about. I always just had this thought, maybe it's about.
I don't want to get into that.
No, maybe it's not about what maybe some people, dirty minds or maybe just common sense would think it is. Maybe it's about African farmers trying to herd chickens, potentially.
Who knows? Indeed. You know, I always like that. Every breath you take, I'll be missing you. That's a great song, man. Whatever it is, whatever.
Well,
That's pretty good.
It's about after he, whatever happened with that, what that song's about. Who knows? Now, who knows what that's about? But
yeah.
I'm not worried about, that stuff. I don't really care. I mean, I just hear about P. Diddy so much.
I know. You called about something else.
Yeah, I was gonna touch on something long before the interracial marriage thing, and it was I don't know if your guest was saying that they don't know if there's like a biblical reason for it, but I think just because I'm not versed in the Bible at all, but I was just thinking about that, made me think about it deeply for a minute. I was thinking like common sense wise though, like it wouldn't really make sense to have a bunch of races kind of merge into one race. So I feel like that's why even like someone said, I think, maybe I'm wrong, but that even children, someone in the comment section said, oh, even children know it's wrong. And my opinion is like, there's nothing wrong with that happening, man and woman, different races, as long as but it shouldn't be promoted, because then where's the culture of each race? And then we totally lose our heritage, our culture, and our, genetic makeup. We don't have, we're not, at that point, we're just one kind of like.
Well, don't you think that's what
white, like race?
Don't you think that's what white identity does to European culture? It kind of homogenizes.
What do you mean by what do you mean by white identity?
Like calling yourself white. Like you're homogenizing. You're losing your culture.
No, he's talking about the general you. Even if you don't call yourself white, when people call themselves white and getting rid of their Germanity, their Irishness, their whatever.
Yeah, you've already lost the culture.
Oh, 100%. I 100% agree with that, and I feel like that stems from eugenics, social engineering, and the Marxist agenda that's just been slowly being rolled out, so that you have like even when you look at the job application, you have like white, this race, and then like there's like 5 races, but there's actually way more to people's heritage than just like 5 things you can fill out, and then it's
Yeah, so why don't like German people, for instance, like argue then to have German be put on the race?
I
checkbox?
100% agree, and it's it's just white or African American or
Bring back nationalism.
Yeah, so what I'm saying though is that's a bigger problem than interracial, mixed breeding. Like it's actually on a lower number as far as the percentage of how many people actually are in interracial relationships. Like I think the bigger problem is to focus on the identity thing. That's
makes
killing
sense.
your culture.
So are you saying that? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Do you think that they're lying about the statistics of interracial marriage while also promoting all these ads where it's white and black people, and that it's not really happening, and it's kind of like an agenda that certain agencies are kind of
Well, I think people
pushing.
have been mixing for a long time. It's the fact that we've homogenized each other down to white and black, and now you can literally call anything mixing at that point. Does that make sense?
Okay. So you think it's like a natural thing rather than
like I have a black
engineered.
girlfriend, but people consider us an interracial relationship.
Okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's been homogenized.
I
I
definitely
don't even
see.
consider myself white.
Have you seen the them promoting interracial relationships
Me?
in the
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Here's the funny thing is even though I grew up in that, when I see it on commercials, it still startles me.
yeah
I go, why is there a Chinese woman with a black guy and they have a Puerto Rican son? How does this make sense?
right.
And it's like I grew up
Well,
like
maybe,
that though.
but
So
then again, they might both be trans and they might have adopted. Because
hey,
I know
you
it's
don't
a
know
mess.
what's going on.
it's
there.
even more diverse than you think.
They're definitely destroying it. You make an interesting point. I don't know if per capita, if white people are into being the white thing as opposed to into being interracial. It seems like whites tend to avoid being into the white thing, identifying with their whiteness. They're like, yeah, I'm white, but they're not into that identity.
You're right. They were, but they're being sort of pushed into now going into, it's like when the argument started as you have black pride, why can't we have white pride?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like now they're turning that kind of argument into reality, where now white people are starting to get white pride.
I know. Yeah.
And I talk to like a lot of white people, and when they tell me they're white, I go like, what are you though? What's your ethnicity? And either they don't know, and I'm like, that's stupid because now you're just going off of a color, or they're sort of like iffy about telling me, like Germans specifically.
yeah.
They don't want to tell you. So
Really?
I just tell white people,
So
stop being
German-
ashamed.
German people?
Stop being ashamed.
Yeah, there are
absolutely.
Germans who identify with that, the being German, and then they kind of defend their German history, including the Nazis and all that stuff. And then there are Germans who are like scared of it because they've been so browbeaten about something that had nothing to do with them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a sad thing that happened to the Germans. I mean, I know, like, even if you say Germans, don't you know that they're descendants of Nazis? I mean, it's like, if you really look at the history of it, how little, like, how much mind control was put into people and how little, like, they were so prosperous, and then the Nazi Party, which is actually a socialist party. It was actually I might have this wrong, but I know it's socialist. I might make the name wrong, say the name wrong, but it's the Socialist Party of Germany. So I completely butchered that, but but the Nazis were socialists. They weren't fascist. And now if you look at Germany right afterwards, I mean, I don't even want to, I mean, you can look, I mean, you and your viewers, if you guys know about it, you know, but it's unbelievable what happened to the German people. And now they have this guilt but then they're lumped in with white people, and now white people are the problem. So it's like Marxism is so complex, but it's so efficient in beating down people, and really in ways that are so disturbing when you really look at it.
Yeah.
Interesting, man. Right. I appreciate the call, Kyle in Massachusetts. Good to hear from you, man.
100%, brother. Have a good one, fellas.
All right, Kyle.
Take care.
I think the thing, real quick on the thing of interracial relationships.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the times what it is women are looking for what they naturally want. And I think they're looking for a guy that's going to protect them, guy that's going to, that's a big thing, is protection.
Right.
Right.
Stability.
And I think that's why they fall for the black guys, because they come off as tough guys. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they're not really going to protect their women. Some of them do.
Right.
But I think that's what they're looking for. And that's what white men tend to lack, is that kind of thing of like, I'm not going to mess with that guy.
Right.
You see a few white guys like that, but for the most part,
the whites neglect their bodies to pour themselves into work or video games or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I think it's just a street smarts that's missing too.
Yeah.
Like true. A little bit of just like I guess experience. I don't know.
Yeah. They put a lot of fear in the whites and anger in the blacks, and it's all the same thing, but it comes out outwardly appearing different.
But black folks are just as cowardly as anybody, because they run away from everything. White guys will go into the woods and wrestle bears. You know what I mean? Black people, I ain't doing that. That's crazy.
Yep, true.
But white people are explorers. White people maybe need to get that back.
Right.
That exploration.
Indeed. Be more like Elon Musk.
Yeah, maybe. He's a bit of a nerd.
Be more like Mark Zuckerberg, he's gotten tougher. He's a fighter now.
Be more like James Hake. Let's just.
Let's get to Joe in Phoenix, Arizona, on the line here. Joe, you are live with Crishaun the Don of Misfit Nation, and Hake.
My favorite.
Hey.
Good morning, you two.
Morning.
Hey, Joe.
My goodness, these last callers are just, I don't know where to begin. German people were not prosperous. That's how the Nazis were able to rise to power. Germany was suffering coming out of World War I, and there was some serious, terrible restrictions on their economy coming out of the Treaty of Versailles. So,
no, but he was saying that they built up the Nazi Party built up their economy.
Berlin
helped build up a recovery. Kind of like people credit evil FDR for getting us out of the Great Depression, which I have my doubts.
I didn't get that, but okay. The whole race thing, James, this goes back to what I was trying to tell you about genetic editing.
Yeah. This is my snake puppet.
The surface visual differences between people is not a race. My goodness, on a DNA level. Differences in skin color, hair color, eye color. That's not a race, people.
But it's more than just the appearances. It's the different cultures.
We can agree that there's different cultures, sure. But
yeah.
But anyone can be part of those cultures, James. What people think race is those surface appearance differences. And this is why I say the commercialization of
the appearance is powerful. People's attachment to their appearances is the lie has a false power over people's minds. Let me put it that way. When you identify with, hey, I look this way, you're gonna say, oh, they're treating me different because I look this way. Not they're treating me unfairly because they're selfish. Or I'm being treated this way, and I put myself in a position to be taken advantage of. There's no common sense when two different races come together and have a conflict. When one race accuses the other race of treating them different because you're just of a different race. So
we can agree with almost all of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
People are fooled by the lie of appearance all the time. Absolutely.
Yep. Indeed.
But this is why I say that the more it becomes just a commercial choice, the better it is to hopefully end racism.
No, man, that's
prejudice.
ridiculous. Human nature is always going to be evil, Joe.
We can agree on that, but when someone doesn't know based on looking at appearance alone, go ahead, Crishaun.
How do you end racism?
Well, as I was saying, right now, eye color is just a choice in babies. And soon to come will be skin color, hair color, all that as well. So, you know, a black couple, quote-unquote black couple or a white couple can design their baby to look however they want them to look. Skin color, hair color, eye color.
Like
that's
build
just
a baby?
a fact of reality of today.
So, wait,
And
are
I
you
think-
saying that they're designing their baby through who they mate with?
No, through genetic
No, I'm saying
editing.
science.
Oh,
There's
like
genetic
actual
editing, yeah.
genetic.
Yeah, they're
editing.
messing with the genes.
Correct.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've
Again.
heard of this, too.
Yeah.
This
So
is
what's
a-
your point on it, though?
My point is, it's going to be harder for people who have the kind of hatred and bigotry in their hearts to discriminate against someone when they don't know who they are. I mean, there will come a day in the very near future when a quote-unquote black couple will have a blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby.
But nothing
So
that
how-
you're never going to
Yeah.
end the hatred in people's hearts and so-called bigotry.
Exactly, but
Just because
Exactly,
the
but
blonde,
my
blue-eyed baby
point
came
is-
from a black couple, when they're out in the world, they're still perceived as a blonde, blue-eyed person.
Until he starts
Okay, so
acting black, acting like he was raised by
Yeah.
blacks.
yeah,
Pack
okay.
of wolves.
Go ahead.
So when that baby grows up, and that's technically a quote-unquote black baby, but no one will know about it. Is my point.
Oh, we'll know.
So that's how we end racism.
Racism.
insane.
This is why I say racism doesn't exist, because people are plain judgmental no
Stupid,
matter
yeah.
what.
That's why I say race
No,
doesn't
we
exist.
agree on that. We agree on that. Yeah. Crishaun,
Well, that's
I see
how I
you wearing
think-
your
that's
MAGA
how I
hat.
think- Oh, yeah.
I want to ask
What do you gotta say?
not a slogan, a specific policy that you like that Trump implemented in his first 4 years.
You know what? I'm not defending Trump anymore. I want you to defend Kamala.
I'm not voting for Kamala. I don't support Kamala, so I don't have to.
Oh, okay. Who are you voting for? Still don't know?
I still don't know yet. Nope.
But you hate Trump. What's your criticisms on Kamala? Why didn't you want to vote for her?
Good question.
I don't see any specific policies on the issues that I care about, which is mostly economic, and I don't see any policies directly addressing the debt and the deficit, which are both spiraling out of control. That's a big issue for me. That's why I don't support her.
Okay. So that's why you're not voting for. So why are you not voting for Trump?
Woo, where to begin? I mean, I know you don't agree with the whole felony part and all that, but I believe he is a felon and a grifter, and only cares about himself and has no clue about what to do on the economy. Because again, both the deficit and the debt spiraled out of control in his first 4 years.
All right, let me ask you a question. Let's talk about their character. Who do you like more
Their
on a
character.
character level?
I don't like either one on a character base, but I think Trump's character is beyond awful. I mean, the guy is an adjudicated rapist, civilly at least, and the guy.
That's hold on.
drifted up-
Don't just like gloss over that. Civilly is a major
ahead.
difference than criminally.
There's a different standard of proof, and we agree on that. But but both on the state and federal level, he's adjudicated to be a rapist, and he owes
Then
over
why don't they
$100
go
million
after him criminally?
because the statute of limitation ran out. That's why. Now you can
In
make
New York?
an
Really?
argument that, yeah, you can make an
I thought
argument
they got
that the
rid of
woman
that.
should have came forward earlier, and that's on her. But the only reason they didn't go criminal is because she didn't bring the charges and a lot of time. That's why.
Let me ask you, because I assume you believe that Trump is like a narcissist and he's a coward and all that type of stuff, right?
Sure.
Okay, so what were your thoughts on when they attempted to kill him and
Thought it
how
was
he
terrible.
behaved?
I thought it was terrible, and I thought I told James I want to see the ballot, not the ballot box, not a bullet.
Okay. So how about how he behaved? Because what I think is that first off, when a man is in a life and death situation, he shows his true colors. And I think in that situation, Trump showed that he really actually shattered your whole narrative that he's a coward and that he's a fake and that he's a fraud and a narcissist and all that stuff because of how he behaved after getting shot.
Honestly, my first reaction to that was this might have been staged.
Oh. Exactly. And that's the thing, is that's the only way you can write it off, because you can't give Trump credit for showing bravery and showing the will to fight and inspiring people beyond just talk.
Beyond just talk.
Like, tell me what, like, there's not one Democrat. The fact that he's still doing rallies after 2 assassination attempts shows that he actually does care and love his people in a way that Democrats and most Republicans would never do. Democrats would never put their lives at risk because of their convictions are fake. They're not real. That's what I'm trying to tell you, is that you're not even giving him credit on a human level that he showed some kind of courageous behavior after getting shot in the head. You can't even do that. So why would I have any conversation with you about Trump? You're not reasonable.
Hello?
Did he hang up?
Hello?
Oh, Lord. Yeah. What do you got doing over there? Come off it. Boomer.
Did he pass out?
Joe, in Phoenix.
Sorry. I was getting out of my car. I think my Bluetooth
it switched to Bluetooth.
Can you hear me okay?
I think he's lying. I think he just doesn't have an answer.
Come back to your phone.
Hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me? Turn off your key. Oh, man.
Hello, are you there?
Yes, can you hear us? Joe from Phoenix.
All right. Sorry about that. I was getting in and out of my car. I think my Bluetooth kind of...
Yeah, boomer tech, we could tell.
Okay. All right.
Obama phone.
So, Crishaun, no, I don't give him any credit. I think the only reason he's running is to try to stay out of jail, because he knows that if he's not president, he is going to prison for the rest of his days.
You didn't answer my question, though. Why should I have a conversation with you about Trump if you can't even be reasonable enough to say that him getting shot in the head, the way he acted after that, was brave? Like, that's like it's just... How you couldn't even write that better in a movie to make somebody look brave.
Again, Crishaun, he has to. I think his only motivation is self-preservation. It's not bravery. He knows he has to run.
No. When he got shot in the head, he then gave another clear line of sight just to put his fist up and tell his people to keep fighting. That's what I'm talking about.
He got grazed on his ear. He didn't get shot in the head. He got grazed on his ear. And 2, he knew the Secret Service was on top of it. So there was no risk.
2 women that were 5 feet tall. See, again, you're just not being reasonable to the situation. Like, you could still hate Trump, but say that was brave. Even Mark Zuckerberg did that. You're completely unreasonable.
Well, we disagree. We simply disagree. First of all, I don't hate Trump.
Reasonability, you can't disagree on.
He's a terrible person. He's a terrible person and a terrible president. He did a terrible job his first 4 years. And my main issue with him is that he grifted $1.6 billion with a B dollars his first 4 years, and he tried to steal the election and steal our democracy in 2020.
Steal democracy. Jesus.
You will eat your words when the Georgia case does go through.
Why didn't he steal democracy the first 4 years? Why didn't he do all the evil things that you say he's going to do? Why didn't he do that the first 4 years?
He tried. Didn't work.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he's a mess.
So he tried to start world wars. They just didn't pop off?
Nobody said world wars.
They did. That was one of the narratives.
You will see. You will see when the Georgia case goes through. He tried to steal the information from election machines. He put in fake electors in multiple states to override the real electors. They actually submitted fake slates to Mike Pence. That's all highly illegal and trying to steal democracy, subvert the will of the people. Because you can't deny that. That's just reality and facts.
I mean, if it's true, I don't believe it. because I don't believe anything that they present in those cases. And also, they don't let Trump present half of his evidence. So why would I care? That's why nobody cares about these cases that you like have so much stock put into. Nobody cares about January 6th. Nobody believes it's an insurrection. They were asking of Democratic voters about January 6th. Half of them were going, well, February 6th, right?
I saw
no,
something
it's January
like that.
6th. Yeah, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
You made a claim that they don't let Trump present his side. What are you talking about?
The evidence that he claims he has that they wouldn't let him present.
They've been begging him to present. They've allowed his lawyers to present anything. They have no evidence to present. None.
Well, like I said, that he claims. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care about Trump's cases in the election tampering. Now, here's the thing: is that might be my ignorance though, because they're probably going to try to steal it again.
Who's they? The Democrats or Trump?
No, we don't talk about Trump or Democrats trying to steal anything. Nobody steals anything.
Okay. Well, again, if Trump does not win, you will see the Jan 6 case, the Mar-a-Lago case, and the Georgia case. They all have real evidence. Either you trust our legal system or you don't. But they have to meet a burden of standard to actually submit evidence, Crishaun. Actual, real, hard evidence that is corroborated, that has to convince a judge and a jury. So either you trust our system or you don't.
So you're trying to convince me to not vote for Trump. That's what this whole call is about?
Not trying to convince you. I'm just curious as to how you could support him by wearing that hat.
Well, one, we were explaining about the assassination attempt. I think that was very inspiring. I thought it shattered. The only thing that Thomas Crooks managed to assassinate was the narrative that Trump was a fraud and fake and narcissist and putting on an act.
Indeed.
Interesting.
Trump's not going to take my guns away. And I love my guns.
That's right.
Trump's not going to defund the police.
I'm a gun owner too.
Trump's going to deport all the immigrants that are destroying this country. Kamala let in. Kamala's okay. All right, let me ask you one question, and then I'm sure Hake has to wrap this up. But name me one thing that Kamala Harris has accomplished, and I'm only asking because you still seem to look at her as a viable candidate against Trump. Explain what great accomplishments that she's done. Well, you're arguing as if there's competition here. So what? I don't understand your side of this. I think you're just afraid to defend Kamala. I think you actually want to vote for her, and you're afraid to defend her.
Well, Crishaun,
you don't have balls like I do, where I'll wear a MAGA hat and I'll wear it on my sleeve.
Sorry, kids.
But you'll sit there and be you'll hide behind statistics and court cases that you could barely explain and you barely even care about.
Interesting.
I don't understand your point. What's your point, Joe? Ever?
The point is Trump is a criminal grifter who would try to destroy our democracy. That is the point.
Okay, you're trying to convince me to not wear the MAGA hat. That's what you're trying to do.
No, I'm just curious as to your reasoning, that's all.
You're not curious. You know the reasoning. I told you it, and you're still saying you're curious.
Oh, man. Pardon me.
Sorry, did something
happen? No, nothing.
You keep trying to get me to support Kamala, and I just don't.
I got to run, guys. This has been...
yeah, we got to wrap it up, Joe.
It's great talking to you,
man. Call into my show.
Yeah.
All right, take care. Joe in Phoenix, Arizona. You too. Bye.
Bye, Joe.
This has been the Hake Report. Thank you, Crishaun the Don of the Misfit Nation. It's been cool talking with you. Crishaun the Don on X and Misfit Nation on YouTube, guys. I got to wrap it up. Sorry, man.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm kind of a boomer.
Hake. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Take care and adios, guys. I'm going to have to read your super chats tomorrow. Peace in the Middle East, or at least in your hearts. Bye. Bye, guys. of my generation.
We are the youth,
Confident of foreign nation.
stand at the crimes,
And we're never gonna give up. Up.
we got a problem, and it's an open Christian nature. We need a job from our mental situation. Yeah, it's the time for us to wake up.
Rebellion.
A season of change,
Rebellion.
no running away.
Come what may. I'm gonna stay forever young. It's Christian.
It's time to change, today's the day.
Squad 5-0.
And I won't let it slip away. I've never been so sure, but now my mind is made up. Renew my strength, with power to withstand the darkness. Renew my life, past the days of present unrest. And through the years, keep our youth big and strong. Seizing the day, running away. Come what may.
I'm gonna stay forever young. Adios, America. Joel Friday coming up next. Peace in the Middle East, or at least in your hearts. Bye.